Hello and all, welcome to a Galaxy Man Show interview show. So for my next guest is this incredible actress known by the name of Alexandra Sedlak. She's been in numerous of projects, so I'm about to add Alexandra into the chat now to have a chat with her about her projects. So yeah, let's invite Alexandria in. Hello,
Hi!
how's it going?
It's going well. How are you?
Yeah, really good, thanks. Thank you for taking the time to come onto my show, Alexandria. It means a lot. To people that don't know who you are, if you can give a bit of backstory about who you are and what you do, and then we'll dive right into the questions.
Sure. Well, basically, my name's Alexandra Sedlak. I go by Alex with my friends and socially. But I'm an actor, I'm a filmmaker, director, I'm a musician. What else do I do? I've got my hands on a lot of different things. But yeah, and I live in Nashville, Tennessee right now.
Awesome. So we'll dive right into the questions now. So for my very first question, so you've actually been in this incredible film called Trigger, and you got to play the role of Andy in Trigger. What was that whole experience like for you?
So Trigger is actually the first feature-length film that I wrote and directed, and I wrote and directed it with a partner of mine, a creative partner of mine, and so that story came from sort of like a real life tragedy I'd gone through a few years ago, and I guess found a way to repackage it into more of a fictitious storyline, but the heart and soul of what the main character Andy was going through was something that I was really experienced with going through as far as anxiety and panic attacks, and how it just the fallout from that kind of bleeds into everything, and trying to overcome that. So anyways, it was really cool getting to bring that to life, and then uh, from basically every angle. And it was such a small budget film. It's honestly amazing we were able to accomplish what we did with it, and it ended up winning the Nashville Film Festival in October of 2019. So it's cool. We've gotten a few offers for distribution, so we have several to pick from, which is rare for like a first time feature filmmaker, but I'm super stoked about it, and I'm excited to see what happens. So
So on to the very next question. So you were actually also in a film called back in 2019 called Past Patreon
oh,
Her Past.
Postpartum.
Yeah. What was
Yes,
that
you've done
whole
your
experience?
research.
Yeah. What was that whole experience like?
Yo, that was so fun. So it was dark. It was a dark role for me, and I loved that. I loved it. I got to kill a baby, not a real baby, but I got to explore that shadow side of myself for sure. And I worked with Wendy Keeling. She directed it. She's an awesome filmmaker in town. And yeah, I was only on set for 2 days. It was super quick, but um, dove right into that part. And I'm pretty sure it's won a couple festivals, or it's at least been in several. I had to follow up with Wendy. But yeah, it was a super fun experience.
So on to my very next question. So you were actually also in a drama back in 2019, also called Why We Breathe, and you played the role of Carrie in Carrie Hicks in the film. What was that whole experience like?
That was awesome. Yeah, it was. So we shot the majority of it in 2018, and then we did some pickups early 2019. I'm losing track of time. It's like it's flown by so quickly. And that was amazing. Like basically we shot it in this small town called Nolansville outside of Nashville. And this community of people just let us kind of shoot wherever we needed to. They were super supportive of the film. People were like outside of our sets, and when we were shooting, taking photos and like watching, and it was really, really, it was a cool experience for sure. The director Eric, he's an awesome guy, and I think it's going to do well. I think it's been doing well. It's on DVD at this point, and I know they just locked down distribution. So I think it's doing well. It's more of a Christian leaning film, but I don't think it ostracizes anyone. I don't tend to do a lot of faith-based work, but I was drawn to this project. I just feel like it kind of can be relatable to literally anyone, and there's diverse representation in the film, and yeah, I enjoyed it. It was great. I feel like I'm talking too much. So let me know if I'm like.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Okay.
So on to my very next question. So you were actually in 2018. You were actually in a history drama called Summer of '67. What was that whole experience like?
That was super cool. Again, I was on set, I'm pretty sure one day, maybe 2 days max. I honestly forget how that even came to be. I think they found some of my YouTube videos of me singing or something like that. It was more of I sang this song in my scene, and that's essentially like, there was some dialogue, but I was singing this song, Wayfaring Stranger, and it's a beautiful song. And I had a lot of fun. We got to dress up in like these crazy hippie clothes from like vintage stores, and everything was bright. Like the color scheme was very bright and poppy. And so it was like this throwback feel for sure, because it was like taking place in the 60s, but it also had this sort of zany twist on it, I feel like, with a lot of the costume choices and the color scheme. But yeah, that was awesome. It was really fun.
So on the very next question, as you mentioned, you're a singer. What does singing mean to you, especially like in these times, what we have all been in?
I see. I mean, singing for me is something that has been my main creative outlet since I was a kid, aside from writing. I used to write like short stories, and even like I wrote this novel when I was like really young. So like, and then that lent itself into songwriting from a young age. But singing for me has been like, that was before even acting. Acting came shortly after, but singing was always first. And honestly, it's just something I feel like I was made to do. You just have that thing, you were like put on the earth to do, and doesn't mean it's the only thing that you do, but for me, that's one of the things for sure. And it calms me down. I feel like music is so healing, and it's just been a mainstay for me. And of course, like during quarantine, when we really couldn't go anywhere all during that period, I got to really center myself in terms of what I wanted my next album to look like, and what music I wanted to put out, and the sound I was going for, and what did I want to say. And so it's been great getting to focus more on that and have time to myself to like kind of find my sound. I found my sound, but also you're always wanting to evolve as an artist. So kind of thinking, what comes next? What do I want to do next? How do I want to express this idea? But yeah, I love it. It's one of my most favorite things to do.
Awesome. So on to my very next question. So you were actually in a drama fantasy back in 2020 called Have to Heat. So Here to Mars in 2020. What was that whole experience like?
So From Here to Mars, we actually shot that, I want to say 2 years ago. And again, that was sort of a spontaneous thing. I forget how that even came to be. I think my agent reached out to me super last minute. Maybe I had a connection to someone, and I kind of rolled over to set, and it was this super emotional part, and I resonated so much with the character. I really did. And I felt emotional, and I remember the director was like, do you want to like warm up? Do you want to like rehearse it, block it, go through it a few times? I was like, no, honestly, can we just like roll and see what we get? And that, I just love that process, especially for more emotional pieces. Usually when you can just dig in for the first time and like express that and feel it all for the first time, and it's authentic and raw, that's the best. And I feel like sometimes as an actor, if you do it too many times, or you start rehearsing or blocking, oh, then I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do it this way, it kind of can take that magic away from it a little bit. So yeah, that was great to be on set. It was a super small crew, and and yeah, it was a beautiful film. So I'm super grateful that they asked me to be in it. So yeah.
Awesome. Well,
Can you tell I'm holding my phone? I should have it still like you, and I didn't.
Yeah. So good, so good. Well, can I just say, Here to Mars was truly phenomenal, and you did such an incredible job in Here to Mars. So I applaud you on your job in Here to Mars. Really incredible.
Oh, I appreciate that.
So on to my very next question. So who inspired you as a person to get into acting in the first place?
Oh my gosh. Actually, probably the first person who inspired me really to pursue acting was probably my first vocal coach. I went to her when I was like 5. It was before I could read. She taught me to read while I was learning to read music, and it was like this whole thing. And I was really scared to get into acting. I was so shy, like deathly shy to get on stage. But she really introduced to me the concept of like how acting and performing music go so hand in hand, and you're still like creating this character in a sense, whether you're singing a song, you're still telling a story, or if you're doing a play. So I think she may have like gotten a hold of an agent and helped me book my first big stage play, and I was like 8 years old or something. It was like the Ohio Children's Theater. And as soon as I did that and I experienced that for the first time, like having to memorize a script and like getting that feedback from a live audience, like I was done. I loved it, like got bit by the bug. And I haven't done theater in a while, but once everything gets back to normal, I'm hoping to get back into some sort of theater production soon.
Awesome. So on to my very next question. So what have you learnt about yourself as a person during COVID?
During COVID, oh my goodness, I feel like I've learned so much. I feel like we all have. I've learned to trust my instincts more than I even did before. And I've always been a very intuitive person, and you got to go with your gut. But through this process and spending a lot of time with myself and getting clear about who I am, where I'm going, I think it's important to be true to yourself. Whether you're an artist, you don't have to, in any capacity as a human being on this earth, listen to yourself and listen to that little voice in your heart and your soul, and be true to that. Because I feel like if you're true to who you are in any given situation or circumstance, it's got to work out better than if you weren't being true to yourself. So that's kind of a basic thing that I have been exploring.
So on to my very next question. So what TV or movie franchise would you want to be in, and why, if you could?
TV or movie franchise? Oh my gosh. Um, I should know this, but I honestly don't. Do you know they're making a Hocus Pocus
I
sequel?
do. Yeah.
So, okay, like obviously I would freaking love to be in that. I would love to be one of the witches in like Hocus Pocus or something like that. And there's another project, and I'm not going to say it. And it's not because I don't trust you, it's because I'm trying to like hold on to it until I know for sure what's happening. I don't want to jinx it, but basically I love that witchy stuff, like magic and spells, and like I've never been a huge like fantasy film person, but when it comes to like that spooky like thematic stuff, I love it. So that would be something I'd be probably geared towards. And like maybe Vampire Diaries, even though I've never even watched a single episode. Isn't that crazy? But I already know I would love
So
it.
good.
Like I
Yeah.
totally would love it, but it's not something I've actually really watched or gotten into, but something like that.
Because you mentioned Vampire Diaries, I actually got to meet Ian Somerhalder in person back in the day,
Oh, that's
and
so cool.
he's such an incredible person. So, if you ever get the chance to meet Ian, I highly recommend.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, and I actually could see you actually in the new Harry Potter series. I don't know if you knew about that. I could actually see you in that.
Oh, well, thank you. I
Yeah.
didn't, maybe I did read something about that. I didn't even really get into Harry Potter as a kid, and which is so weird too. It's like, I should totally be into that. But anyways, thank you. I appreciate
You're
that.
very welcome. So, on to my very next question. So, what are the positives and negatives into the acting industry, and how do you get through those negatives as a person?
Well, as far speaking for myself, the positives obviously are doing something that I love and getting to create and explore the different avenues of creation, whether it's obviously in front of the camera as an actor, behind the camera or whatever. There are drawbacks. Of course, it's so easy to get into the comparison game as an actor. And you have to get comfortable with rejection. You just have to. Because honestly, and one of my most favorite theater professors always said this, when you're an actor, you're a professional auditioner. Like, your job as an actor is to be a professional auditioner. Just show up, you know, be ready. Don't have to get ready, be ready, so that when that opportunity comes to you, you're ready. You're rehearsed, you're ready to go. Because of course you're probably going to audition more than you get booked, especially early on. So getting really comfortable with, I say rejection, but it's not really rejection. Casting directors want to book you. They want to like you. So really it comes down to things that are usually completely out of your control as an actor. So they're just going with the person that makes the most sense for that project and getting really comfortable with that. And sometimes not knowing why you didn't book something, then you're on your way. When you can do an audition and then walk away and let go and let the universe do its thing, then that's when the magic happens. So yeah, so there's some hard days, but there's some really awesome days in this industry too. And I think if you love what you're doing, that's the most important part.
Awesome. So on to my very last question. So what's next for you, like project wise, for 2020 this year?
For 2021? Well, as far as my music, I'd love to release this full-length album. I've been sort of cooking for a long time now. I ended up releasing a string of singles in the last year and a half, 2 years or so. And that was kind of spontaneous the way that I ended up doing that. But I really want to put out this full-length album. So that's something that I'm working on now and have been working on. As far as Trigger, we have distribution for that. Well, we're choosing distribution. We have a ton of options, which is really nice. So everyone will get to watch Trigger hopefully very soon this year, and I'll keep you posted on that. And then for acting, there's some projects that are still to be determined. So with that, it's crazy. It's like one day you can be where you're based, and then the next week be traveling to some other city doing a show you didn't even know like last week you were going to be doing. So it's so up in the air. But I have a really good feeling about this year, and I'm really excited about it.
Awesome. Well, can I just say thank you so much, Alexandria, for appearing on my show. It's been such a pleasure. Any like last final thoughts that you would like to say on the show?
I just thank you so much for having me. I'm super flattered that you took the time to like research my projects and get to know me before we even met and did this. And yeah, for anyone listening, I mean, I hope everyone has an amazing year. I hope everyone is healing from last year and has found some good takeaways to bring into this year. And I hope everyone gets to pursue their dreams and gets the things that they want and makes themselves happy, because that's really what it's about at the end of the day. And yeah, just thanks so much for having me again. This is super fun. I want to do this every day now.